Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, and freaks of nature of all ages. My name is Brian Bad Hippie Jackson, and welcome to my channel. And welcome to Let's Build. We're going to be starting a brand new series of Let's Build here in UDK. The previous Let's Build that I was doing was going okay. It was good information. It was accurate and correct information, but quite honestly, I didn't like the way things were looking, and it wasn't giving me that personal creative satisfaction that I want out of building games. So before we start out, though, I'm going to give you a couple of little other bits of information. First bit of information, if you want to skip this video in the Let's Build series for building this game, feel free to do so. There's going to be no actual tutorial stuff going on in this video. This is going to be an introduction video. We're going to introduce the programming that we're going to be using to create and build everything. And we're going to be going over some of the things that I already have built, the things that I don't have built, the things that still need to be done and why I haven't done it yet, that kind of stuff. So we're just going to be scratching the surface with the possibilities of what we have ahead of us and in store for us, and then we'll get into the actual tutorial, this is how we do shit stuff, in episode 2. So if you want to go ahead and skip this video, go ahead and skip this video because there's no tutorial shit in here. It's just going to be introductions and minor explanations. Secondly, I owe everybody a little bit of an apology. I have been MIA for about 2 weeks now. Today is, let me pop this up real quick, check my date. Today is Friday, May the 26th, and I haven't uploaded a video onto YouTube in about a week, maybe a week and a half. When I first started YouTube the past 6-7 months or so, because I haven't been on YouTube a full year yet, but I have always been incredibly active. I mean, a video every day, very active on YouTube, very active on Twitter, semi-active on Facebook, because quite honestly, I really don't like Facebook. It's a fucking drama pit, and I'm not fond of that. But I do interact with people a lot. I do watch a lot of other people's videos, and over the past couple of weeks, I haven't done that. It's just been really tough and stressful the last 2 or 3 weeks. I have been sick off and on for about 2.5, almost 3 weeks. I couldn't record any videos for a while because my voice was absolute dog shit, and you can probably tell my voice still is semi-dog shit, but I really need to get back into doing this. I've had family visiting from out of town. Mother's Day was last Sunday. My son graduated high school the day after Mother's Day, and then that afternoon he went out with friends and promptly wrecked an ATV, and we spent 4 hours in the emergency room. It could have been a lot worse. Thank God it wasn't. He did knock himself unconscious for about 30 seconds, but he walked away. My son's back there going, "Hey, don't be talking about me." Tough shit, I'm talking about you. He did knock himself unconscious for about 30 seconds, but he walked out of the emergency room with no concussion, no head trauma, no broken bones, no dislocations, no internal bleeding. Basically, he escaped pretty much unscathed with just some road rash up his left side and the possibility of a couple of cracked ribs, which, like I said, we were lucky. It could have been a lot worse because he was hauling ass when he dumped that thing, and yeah, it could have been bad. He lucked out on that one. I'm like, what the hell, you know? I was doing less than 20 miles an hour when I dumped my brother's Harley, and I got the worst break in my life when I broke my arm. He's doing almost 40 miles an hour when he dumps an ATV, gets thrown off of it, the damn thing flips over him, and he fucked that ATV up. It hit a pole and all that kind of good stuff, and he walked away pretty much unscathed. I'm like, God, to be young again. Oh, just to be young again. But anyways, and my daughter gets married Monday, and so it's just been a really rough and stressful 2 weeks with family in town, Mother's Day, graduation, my daughter's wedding coming up. Having been sick on and off so much, I've just been completely out of it, and I apologize for not being as active as I should have been. This is the first video I've recorded probably in over a week and a half. but I really need to get back into it. I need to start being active again. I want to also thank those of you who have checked in on me. I went and looked at my Twitter earlier, and I do have several direct messages and some, inquiries as to how things are going. I hope you're okay. Haven't heard from you in a while. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you very much for your concern. I greatly appreciate it. I've got some of the best friends online that a guy could have. I don't know what I did to luck out like this, but thank you guys. You're the fucking shit. You're awesome. As Semantiatics would say, you are the titty sprinkles. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and introduce the programs we're going to be using. This, of course, is UDK. It is the Unreal Development Kit. It is free to download. It is free to use. And a license agreement is not required unless you're actually selling your games. So if you're giving your games out for free, you don't have to have a license agreement. If you're using it to do like video visualizations for, let's say you work with an architectural firm and you want to do a video walkthrough of a house you're designing, you don't have to have a license agreement for that. You don't have to have a license agreement for creating educational videos, things of that nature. If you're going to sell your games, then the license agreement is $99 up front, and that covers all your licensing and royalties up to $50,000 in sales. Once you pass 50 grand, then it's a 25% royalty fee. And in my opinion, that is the single best license agreement I have ever seen in the video game business. It's absolutely fucking phenomenal. The next program we're going to be using is GIMP. Let me go ahead and pop that open. And GIMP is 100% free to use, no license agreement ever required. This is one of the single best image editors I have ever seen. GIMP stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program. It is free to download. It is free to use. Anything that you create within GIMP is yours. You own it. You can give it away. You can sell it. You can do whatever you want to with it. You don't owe any licensing, and it is every bit as good as Photoshop. And it also, I know this version of GIMP will take Photoshop filters. It will take filters and plugins from several different types of image editing programs, whereas Photoshop, you can only use Photoshop plugins and filters. GIMP, you can use the GIMP plugins and filters, and you can also use Photoshop plugins and filters and others as well, so that's always a plus. So we're going to be using GIMP to... Oh, that's the wrong folder. Documents, game and animation. That's what we're looking for. Textures, and this is where I've got my cartoon textures laid in. So we're going to be using GIMP to do our textures for our props, our sets, and our characters. And it's a great program, once again, free to use. I am going to include the links to these. I will not be able to include the link to UDK. I don't think Epic Games is giving that away anymore since they released UE4, but they still have the UDK forums that are active, and once I get my website up and running, I'm going to start putting a lot of effort into that. I will include the UDK download on my website. So anything that's not available online anymore, but it's still legal for me to distribute to you, I will include that on my website. The next program we're going to be using is Mixamo Fuse. And Mixamo Fuse is a character creator. It is also free to use. Now I'm using version 1.3. There is an updated version available at Mixamo.com. However, it is not a standalone program. It is part of the Adobe Cloud, and you have to have Adobe Cloud installed to be able to use it. But once again, it's a bit updated. It's got a few extra clothing things and stuff like that going on. It's just a little bit better. I still like this one. I might get the new one, but let's go ahead and pop open Zed there. This is going to be our main character for Treasures of the Dead. He's not finished yet. So when we get into looking at the game, we're going to see a placeholder character from a prototype pack that I got. But this is going to be our main character. And I will show you how to build characters in Mixamo Fuse. I will show you how to build monsters in Mixamo Fuse. Let's go ahead and maximize this bad boy up. So in the game, the original game, of course, it was a top-down, and I used sprites, but that's pretty much the view we had of Zed. And he had a blue shirt, brown hair, you could see his nose, so that's why I went ahead and designed it like this. Blue jeans, boots, blue shirt, brown hair. That's our adventurer, that's our treasure hunter, that is Overhead Zed. Now, if I go up here into the search bar and I type in ZOM, it's going to give me the option to click zombie, and you'll see that we have several zombie presets for male and female, so we're going to be creating our zombies. I also have some other Fuse content that I have downloaded but have not yet installed in Fuse, but we will be able to make our mummies in here, and we will be able to make some monsters in here so that we can get a good variety of enemies in the game. The next program that we're going to be using, let me pop this up and grab Audacity and open up, you little bastard. There we go. And Audacity is a 100% free music editing program. It'll take multiple formats. You can break it down into stereo, mono, all that kind of good stuff. You can normalize, level out your sound. You have equalizers, and you know, it's a completely fully functional music editing program. It is fantastic, and it is completely free to use and download. Now the last, well, there's going to be a few more. I'm not going to pop open this one yet. We will be using the Unreal X editor to create our custom weapons, and I'll get into that one when we need to use it. The last major program we're going to be using is Blender. Blender is free to download. Blender is free to use. Blender is an absolutely fantastic 3D modeler and animation program. And if I go up here and press open, I can go ahead and bring in Zed. Now this is just the exact same Zed that I created in Mixamo, and it has no skeleton attached to it. This is just the base object model that I exported from Mixamo, and that white on his hair is actually transparency. Anything that is white like that in Blender, if I hit render mode to render the character out, that white becomes transparent, so that you can set your transparencies in Blender. So let's go ahead and hit File, New, Reload Startup File, and then we're going to open zrig.blend. This has a UDK skeleton attached to it, and I do have the UDK skeletons, and once again, when I get my website finished, I will include the download for those skeletons so that you can make UDK compatible characters. Now, all I have done so far is to attach the skeleton to the character using automatic weights. So if I go in, I am in pose mode. So if I'm in pose mode, and let's say I select this knee and decide to rotate it, it's going to do funky stuff because the weights are not set correctly. But we do know that the skeleton right now is attached to the character. We just need to set the weights. And I'll be showing you guys how to properly weight paint characters with the skeleton so that it'll be compatible with UDK. We'll also be going into the Mixamo Fuse website, because once we start working with UD4 for later games, we're not going to use the default UE4 skeleton. We're going to create a custom skeleton with custom animation, and we're going to use UE4 to do that, and I'll be showing you how to do that in later videos when we start working with UE4. So that's the basic programming that we're going to be using to build our game with. So let's go ahead and see what we've got going in Treasures of the Dead. Many moons ago, I built a top-down shooter, monster shooter, called Treasures of the Dead, and the sequel, Treasures of the Undead, using GameMaker 8.1 Lite. It was all sprite-based. It was very cartoony. I was very proud of the outcome, considering the fact it was the first game I ever built. I really didn't know what I was doing. It was all trial and error, but I really liked the way it came out. To this very day, I enjoy playing those games, and I decided that after spending so many years working with UDK and learning how to use the program, I wanted to build at least one or you know, a couple of 3 or so full games in UDK before I hang it up and start working exclusively in UE4. So we're going to start with rebooting Treasures of the Dead into 3D. So if I pop open level, let's go ahead and close the content browser first. If I go to my recent files arrow, I can pop open level 1. And we can see that level 1 is almost finished. I've got just about everything I need in it. I still need to add in a couple of doors and a few more traps. One thing I don't have is a weapon and a weapon shoot code yet, and I will go ahead and show you why. Okay, so if I pop the game open, we have our cartoon textures. I decided to go with cartoon textures to maintain that game integrity from the first one. We can hear that we've got a dirt sound under our feet because we're walking on dirt. We can pick stuff up. There's our treasure. It can be picked up, and it has a pickup sound and a pickup prompt to tell us how much we just picked up. We can toggle our HUD on and off. Now that's going to change, but for right now I've got it set to toggle HUD on and off because the HUD gets in my way. Because of how big and clunky it is. It's actually designed for more science fiction type of stuff. So I have the tendency to turn it off so it doesn't get in my way. But let's go up here. And you saw that when we picked up the other gold with the HUD turned on, we had an on-screen prompt. Well, we don't have an on-screen prompt when we turn our HUD off. So we're going to be creating a custom HUD. And what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the mini-map, and we're going to get rid of everything down there in the lower left except for the blue health bar and the ammo bar that looks like bullets. So that gray armor thing's going to go away, the green health percentage is going to go away, and the red and gray armor thing with the weapon picture is going to go away, and all we're going to be left with is a very base and simplistic HUD, which is that health bar and the ammo bar. And then we'll still be able to have our on-screen prompts. Now the loose stuff on the floor, like over here, you just walk over it to pick it up. The treasure that's in a chest, you actually have to press E and interact to pick it up. We have active doors and switches and teleporters. So we press E to use the door, it opens, we can hit that teleporter, and now we can pick up our health herb. And yes, that is exactly what you think it is. Feel much better now. So that works. We have active traps, we have active checkpoints, all that kind of stuff. Now first level is the only one that's even close to being finished. If I pop open level 2, we don't have any cartoon textures in. The texture pack I'm using is a prototype texture pack, and I just like it better than the default UDK textures, which are pretty much just blue and white squares. This gives me the ability to get good measurements, a good idea of height, width, and depth. I can also bring in multiple colors on these so that my gates are brown like wood, my switches are brown like wood, my blood walls are red, and these will move back and forth. They will crush you. There we go. That blue thing right there is a dynamic physics volume. That is what does the damage when the blood wall hits you. We have teleporters. Now, if you look over on the right side, you can see that the active stuff is right about there and a little bit down in there. So we've only got about a third of this level done as far as functionality goes. But that's okay because that's going to give us the ability to learn a lot of new and cool stuff. And then if I pop open level 3, we will see that the only thing I have put in so far, I need to change that starting angle. I don't like that. There we go. That's better. We will see that the only thing I have put in is the character, and if we look at our Kismet, just the player startup character. So we have our player spawned, we have the attached to actor, which gives us the camera attachment to the player. We have the set camera target, which makes the camera look at and follow the player. We have the attachment for our flashlight and our point light, and then we have the toggle flashlight code. And that's all we have set into this level, just the architecture and the basic player startup. and it's like that all the way through level 8. Now there's 10 levels in the game, but I've only got 8 levels built so far, and level 8 is not complete yet. I've only got about a third of it done. I still have the default UDK textures, so when we start the tutorials, we're probably going to start with finishing off level 8 so we can work with the builder brush, BSP, CSG, learn how to do prototype textures, placeholder props, things of that nature, and then we'll go back and finish off building levels 1, etc., and get the whole game done. But that's basically what we're going to be doing. Now, real quick, before we end this video, because we're at about 20 minutes, the one thing I don't have in right now is a gun. The gun and the enemies, the weapons and the enemies will be the very last thing we put into the game. Now, the reason is if I go up into View, World Properties, and turn off the No Default Inventory for Player, that's what keeps me from having a gun. What we're going to find is, and I'm going to apologize right off the bat, because to get the volume where you can hear the physical materials under my feet, which is the dirt sound when I move, I had to set the volume weird, so the gun's probably going to be pretty loud. There we go. The problem with the gun is, by default, the gun is going to aim where the camera's pointed. That's the basic math that UDK includes with the shoot code. So it doesn't matter where I point this gun, it's always going to shoot down at a negative 65-degree angle, because that's the angle that the camera is set at. I also don't like that big ugly crosshair. That crosshair works good in a first-person view. Let me go ahead and show you. We're going to go into our player startup. We're going to break the link to the camera attachment and then run the player start into the light attachment. That's going to give us a first-person view. And the gun works just fine because it always shoots in the direction the camera's pointing. So if I wanted to make this a first-person game, I wouldn't have to worry about any kind of hard code for the weapon. But because we're doing a top-down, getting the weapon to shoot in the proper direction is going to require hard code. I do have that code built. I have tested it. It does work. But I want to do it last because I don't want to put in the shoot code and the enemies until A, I get my custom HUD made and I can get rid of that big ugly crosshair, and B, I want to make sure that everything else is in the level, that it works, that it functions, that it does what it's supposed to do, and all of that debugging is finished before I put the shoot code in, because that's a completely different headache as far as debugging goes. So the last thing we're going to do is the shoot code and the enemies. We're going to go through and we're going to build everything else. We're going to learn how to do the top-down camera. We're going to learn how to attach the lights, make the flashlight toggle on and off. We're going to learn how to do doors and switches and pickups and open chests and make different kinds of traps that will, some of them will just hurt us, some of them will kill us instantly. And we're going to have a whole hell of a lot of fun, and we're going to build an entire game. Okay, so that's it for this video right now. We've introduced all the programs we're going to be using. We've introduced the game that we're going to be building, so we know what we're doing. In the next episode, we're going to start into the actual tutorial part of learning how to do shit. So please do not forget to check the links in the description below for the Disabled American Veterans and the Wounded Warriors Project. Let's please help support our veterans. If you like the video, then hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends and family to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Please do not forget to leave me a comment. They are always welcome, good, bad, or somewhere in between. Thank you very much for watching. I love and appreciate every single one of you. And until next time, this is Brian Bad Hippie Jackson saying peace, love, clean underwear, and happy gaming.